Hello, all you subjects of the internet. I am the Aromantic Shipper, back again with yet another video. So, full disclosure, I am a massive Dragon Ball fan. It was the second anime I ever watched, and I have a lot of nostalgia for it. Sure, looking back on it, there were some, perhaps, questionable aspects of it, but overall, Dragon Ball is just a very fun and entertaining story to watch through. And it's amazing to see the main character Goku journey from a simple country boy who had never even met a girl before to the universe's greatest champion, and maybe also destroyer, but we're not going to talk about Super here. Point is, Dragon Ball is an iconic story and franchise, and I'm sure that when 20th Century Fox got the rights to make a live-action adaptation, they would handle it with the utmost care and respect for the fans. It is honestly incredible how bad this movie ended up being. I mean, people hold up something like The Last Airbender as the pinnacle of terrible live-action remakes, and yeah, The Last Airbender is pretty bad, but it is nothing compared to the utter monstrosity that is Dragon Ball Evolution. I mean, everything, from the writing, the acting, the action, the special effects, the casting, none of it fucking works in this movie. It's horrendous and a complete insult to the original series. I mean, what was with some of these creative choices they made? Goku is basically a completely different fucking character, as they made him a horny, angsty high schooler rather than a pure, innocent country bumpkin. And the thing is, it didn't have to be this way. I mean, sure, it really wasn't necessary to make a live-action remake of Dragon Ball, just like it really isn't necessary to make a live-action remake of any animated media, to be honest, but Dragon Ball Evolution was not doomed to fail. I mean, maybe it was with that dumb as shit name. For real, Dragon Ball Evolution? You couldn't have named it something like Dragon Ball, The Return of the Demon Clan. That would have been a much more fitting and badass title. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is that there were decisions that could have been made to make this movie much better, and it could have been much more competent, respectful, and dare I say, enjoyable as an adaptation. And in this video, I am going to be laying out what those changes could have been as I embark on the task of fully rewriting Dragon Ball Evolution to make it not only a better story and better movie, but also to make it much more faithful to the original series and be pleasing to Dragon Ball fans like myself who would watch it. I should note that I am of course going to be focusing pretty much exclusively on the writing, as it's pretty easy to just say that there should have been better acting, there should have been better special effects, there should have been better direction. Goku shouldn't have been fucking white, though technically, I mean, he is an alien, so I guess he never really was Asian in the first place. No, this is a rewrite, not a recast, so yeah, I just thought I'd get that out of the way first. If you are new to my channel, I actually do quite a bit of rewrite content, including for shows like The Walking Dead and The Legend of Korra, and I'm probably planning on doing a rewrite series for the Dragon Ball series proper in the future, so look out for that. But before I get to that, I need to fix this crapshoot of a movie. This is Dragon Ball Evolution Rewritten. Let's just get to it. So first off, let's talk about one monumental change I would make to this movie that would make it infinitely better. Where the fuck was Krillin in the original movie? I mean, he's widely known as Goku's best friend, and he could have provided a great character for Goku to play off in the film. I mean, I guess I should be happy that the movie didn't get its hands on him and ruin him, but I will be adding Krillin into my rewrite of Dragon Ball Evolution. This film would open not with a cliché exposition about Piccolo and the Nemeks and the Mafuba, as that information will be worked into the actual story later, and instead starts with Piccolo being released from his imprisonment from deep inside a monk's temple by a mysterious hooded figure. However, this Piccolo is weak and frail due to succumbing to old age, and the hooded figure tells him that he must gather the Dragon Balls in order to gain eternal youth. Then it cuts to Goku training with Krillin and getting into a practice fight, with Grandpa Gohan watching them. I'm going to keep Gohan alive in the movie in my rewrite, as I think him actually being there to interact with Goku is pretty cool, and building their connection will make his eventual fate in my rewrite even sadder. And also, Goku will still be around 18 years old, as I don't necessarily mind the movie aging him up for the story to start out. Plus, there will be naked scenes with him in my rewrite, like in the cartoon, but it might be a lot more uncomfortable if you have a naked 12-year-old boy ass on the screen in a Hollywood movie. However, this Goku would be nothing like the Justin Chatwin Goku, and he would be his familiar, lighthearted, goofy, ignorant self from the show who loves fighting, training, and eating. And he isn't a fucking high school student. But there is obviously a major change from the original source material, as while Goku is living out in the isolated countryside and has never gone outside of that, he still does have one friend that he interacts with, Krillin, who is his usual cocky and egotistical self that he starts out as in the original series, with him telling Goku after he is beaten by him in their fight that he only caught him off guard and he is the superior fighter by far. However, since these two are pre-established training partners and have known each other for some time, they are already pretty good friends and there's no need to show the two growing closer over the course of the movie like what happened in the original Dragon Ball. Krillin tells Goku that he has been training hard to enter the Tenkaichi Budokai tournament, held every 3 years, and says that Goku should come and compete himself. However, Goku tells Krillin that he isn't allowed to, as his grandpa Gohan is insistent that he stays in the wilderness with him, as it is too dangerous to venture into the outside world. Krillin says that Gohan is a wise martial arts teacher, but an idiot and a recluse, and that the outside world isn't dangerous at all, especially to skilled warriors like them. He tells Goku that people might find his tail weird, but it's not that big of a deal, as he is kind of funny looking too, and barely has a nose, and is practically a dwarf, but still manages to get all the ladies. After which, Goku wonders what ladies are like, as he has never met one. But Gohan interjects, saying that he has his reasons for keeping Goku cooped up in the wilderness, but much like Princess Belle, Goku wants adventure in the great wide somewhere, and begs Gohan to let him see the outside world, but Gohan refuses. One important little addition in my rewrite is that Goku does have a tail, like in the show, by the way. However, then the movie cuts to later, and Gohan is celebrating Goku's 18th birthday with him. He gives him his present, the 4-star Dragon Ball, which he says is his most prized possession, and then he of course explains the legends about the Dragon Balls releasing the eternal dragon Shenron, which would grant a single wish to anyone who desired it. Goku then innocently wishes on the 4-star ball to make his grandpa let him explore the outside world, but Gohan says that only when all 7 balls are brought together can a wish be granted. However, Gohan then gets more serious and asks Goku if he really wants to see the outside world. And then he says that now Goku has become an adult, and he thinks it's fitting that he should get to make his own decisions in life if he wants to. So he promises Goku that he will go with him to explore the outside world, but under the condition that he never looks at the full moon. And then we cut to a village far away, where everything seems pretty peaceful and chill, but then the villagers see an ominous figure hovering in the sky, bearing the mark of the Demon Clan. It is King Piccolo, and all the villagers start shitting their pants and telling everyone to bow down to him or risk being destroyed. Piccolo ends up declaring that the reign of the Demon Clan has come at last, and demands to be given their Dragon Ball, as he knows that their village is in possession of it. But then the elders of the village confront Piccolo, saying that they will never hand over the Dragon Ball to him, and they have hidden it in a secret location. And they try to get into a fight with King Piccolo, but he simply flies up into the sky and creates a massive explosion that obliterates the entire village and everyone in it, including the women and children, without remorse. And then he recovers the previously hidden Dragon Ball, which was the only thing left intact in the village after he obliterated it, and says, 1 down, 6 to go, before coughing up blood, and the mysterious cloaked figure who released him from his imprisonment reminds him that it is not wise to use so much of his power, as it will shorten his lifespan. The two then fly off together. This introduction scene for King Piccolo would be used to demonstrate to the audience that he is a figure that many people on Earth know of from the past, and is absolutely to be feared, and it shows how incredibly powerful he is, and how little he cares about human life. Back with Goku, we would get some scenes of Gohan showing him around some nearby villages, and Goku would of course be utterly awestruck, interacting with other people and towns and females for the first time, and the world would of course be awestruck by this strange monkey boy who doesn't seem to know much. Gohan tells Goku that there is nothing wrong with who he is, and that he is a good person who needs to have faith in who he is, regardless of what happens. There would also be scenes demonstrating Goku's kindness, as he helps out one guy with removing a stump from his field, for example by ripping it out with his bare hands. Later on, after a few days, it would show Gohan bringing Goku to see a city for the first time, a massive metropolis with great technological innovation that makes his head spin. Of course, with the city environment being pretty overwhelming, hijinks ensue, and Goku accidentally tries to cross the street without paying attention, and he gets run over by a hover car, driven by Bulma, who has fully blue/purple hair in my rewrite and not that bullshit colored streak in the original. And she of course freaks out about the possibility of killing someone and is anxious about going to jail, but consoles herself that she is rich and pretty, so she will probably be fine. She is shocked to see that Goku only looks slightly injured, and asks how he possibly managed to survive a head-on collision. Gohan is of course really stressed out about the events that just unfolded, but as their first meeting, things go pretty well, with Goku and Bulma introducing themselves and Goku offering to lift Bulma's car to get it fixed. And Bulma is incredibly curious about Goku's superhuman abilities and monkey tail. Goku says that he is pretty sure she is a girl, and his grandpa told him that he should always do nice things for girls, and Bulma says that he is a bundle of joy, and would love to see him again, and she gives him the address for her house at Capsule Corp, so Goku says he will come back to see her. So then Goku does return back to the city to hang out with his new friend Bulma at her giant mansion at Capsule Corp. Grandpa Gohan is politely asked by Bulma to wait outside as she wants to hang out with Goku alone, and he begrudgingly agrees, and then she shows him all her sciencey stuff and asks him about his upbringing and how he got to be so strong. She then shows Goku her most important project she has been working on and reveals that she has 2 Dragon Balls, after which Goku reveals that he has one too, and she is pretty surprised and asks Goku if she could ever bring it over to her or let her come to where it is. But Goku says that Gohan wouldn't like that, and Bulma gives a very cocky reply of, "That's fine, who knows, maybe I'll find it myself." Then Bulma starts talking to Goku about how it is ridiculous that he just lets his grandpa control so many aspects of his life, and that he should think for himself more. But Goku responds by saying that people should be respectful to their elders. Bulma says that that's ridiculous, and she disobeys her loser parents all the time, like when she took the 2 Dragon Balls out of a vault to experiment on. She tells Goku that adults are only there to do nothing but put a damper on people's fun, and because of his grandpa, he never even met a girl until 2 weeks ago. She tells him that he needs to have some real fun and invites him to a party in 3 days, but Goku says he can't come because the moon will be full that night, and Grandpa says he can't leave home when that happens. But Bulma says that nothing bad is going to happen and that his grandpa said it himself. He's an adult now and he can make his own decisions. Then the movie cuts to the mysterious cloaked figure who released Piccolo, doing research to try to figure out the locations of the other Dragon Balls, ultimately settling on Capsule Corp, which the film then cuts to, showing Bulma finalizing her Dragon Radar and locating Goku's house by searching for his Dragon Ball. While in the background, the television reports the inexplicable destruction of an entire village, the cause of which are not yet known. Then Bulma personally goes over to Goku's house on her hoverbike and surprises him by showing up out of the blue and ultimately convinces the very hesitant Goku to get on with her and go to the party. It goes about as awkwardly as one might expect, with Goku failing to understand basic social cues and a lot of the people making fun of him for his tail, but Goku not really understanding most of what they say anyway. Some of the drunk guys at the party start harassing Bulma, though, and look like they might be starting to get physical, so Goku intervenes as her knight in shining armor, telling them to let that Bulma alone, and they get into a fight, and of course Goku kicks their asses easily. But then one of them pulls a gun out of nowhere and shoots him. Everyone is horrified, Bulma especially, but Goku just gets up saying, "Ow, that really hurt." The assailant just runs away from him, calling him a freak, but Bulma is incredibly impressed, calling Goku a superhero. Goku says that he's just a skilled warrior, but Bulma asks how training could possibly stop a bullet from piercing your skin. As the night goes on, they have a good time together, but Bulma gets really weirded out when Goku starts going on about how she needs to make certain she doesn't look at the full moon, or a terrifying monster could come out, which is what his grandpa told him. But Bulma says that that is just the ridiculous superstition of a cranky old man, and then logics Goku into oblivion, saying how she has looked at the full moon hundreds of times before, and millions of people are probably looking at the full moon this very moment, and yet nothing is happening. But Goku still insists that it is the one thing his grandpa told him to never do no matter what, as he doesn't remember it very well, but when he was 4, he looked at the full moon and a terrifying monster showed up, destroying everything in the countryside they were living on. But before Goku ultimately leaves to go back to his house, Bulma simply tells him that the full moon is really beautiful to look at. When Bulma returns to her house, she finds that there has been a break-in at the compound where the Dragon Balls were being held before she took them, and she sees in security cameras that a cloaked figure is ransacking the house and killing security guards. She then hears on the news channel that the village that was destroyed was famous for having a mystical gemstone known as a Dragon Ball hidden within it. And so Bulma figures out what is going on, and it cuts to King Piccolo floating over Capsule Corp, ready to obliterate it if need be. But as the masked figure is threatening her parents, Bulma goes and gives her the 2 Dragon Balls to the cloaked figure to save everyone's lives, and he flies off with them along with Piccolo. Meanwhile, at the same time this is happening, Goku would be returning to his house, with Gohan being incredibly concerned about what would happen with the full moon out. While Goku is close to his house, he remembers Bulma's words about the moon being beautiful and takes a chance, looking up at it, right as Gohan sees him coming back, and he tries to stop him, but it is too late. Goku transforms into the mighty Ozaru, the actual Ozaru, and not the virgin manlet Ozaru in the original film, and starts destroying everything in his path. Goku's ape form is much larger and stronger than when he was 4 years old, while Gohan has become older and weaker, so he can't contain it. Though they are far away from any people, so there are no civilian casualties. However, although Gohan tries to hold out, with his great skills as a warrior, he is overwhelmed and crushed to death in Goku's hands. King Piccolo and his ally take notice of the shaking and fly to see what is going on, and he is incredibly impressed with how powerful and destructive Goku is, and realizes that the full moon is what is giving him power. He waits until daytime, and Goku reverts to normal, and Piccolo spares him, thinking he could be useful later on, and Goku just lays buck naked, completely unaware that he just killed his grandpa. Yes, Goku killed his grandpa like in the original series, and not Piccolo. Later on, Bulma of course goes back to Goku's house, and he wakes up, horrified by the destruction all around him. Bulma thinks that Goku might have been killed, and uses her working dragon radar to find where the 4-star ball is, as it wasn't taken by Piccolo. However, Goku finds the remains of his grandfather's corpse and is traumatized, and then sees Bulma going to take the Dragon Ball and starts attacking her. He blames her for the fact that his grandpa is dead, as she made him look at the moon and make the monster appear, and she was just using him to get to his Dragon Ball. But she tries to calm him down, fearing for her life, since she has seen what he can do, and she says that it wasn't because he looked at the moon, and that there is some kind of monster out there with the power to wreak devastating destruction that is hunting Dragon Balls and destroying places if they can't find them. Goku stops attacking Bulma, but is incredibly distraught about losing his grandpa, but Bulma tries to comfort him and also asks him to put on some pants since he's still completely naked. Then Krillin actually shows up again at the remains of Goku's house and is freaked out over what happened. And after he gets the story, Goku, Bulma, and Krillin try to figure out what to do next. Bulma explains that she created a dragon radar and can track the signals of the other Dragon Balls in existence by studying the ones she had. But the thing that caused so much destruction probably can't do that, which is why it missed Goku's 4-star. Bulma says that they have an advantage against the monstrous Dragon Ball hunter because they have dragon radar and it doesn't, which means they can find the other Dragon Balls much more easily. She also mentions that they can track the monster too, since her radar is picking up 3 extremely fast-moving Dragon Balls, which are likely being carried by the monster. So the 3 agree that they have to keep the Dragon Balls out of the monster's hands. And so they go off together on an adventure in search of the other Dragon Balls to keep Piccolo from getting his hands on them. Though Krillin does so very reluctantly, complaining that he is going to miss the World Tournament, and if he won, he could have been a millionaire. Bulma quote-unquote borrows a hoverjet from Capsule Corp and a bunch of other capsules with vehicles in them, and by tracking Piccolo through his Dragon Ball, she realizes he doesn't know where to find another ball, so they go to the closest one first, arriving in the desert, where they meet the desert bandit Yamcha, who is surprised that people tracked his location so quickly. He, of course, puffs up his ego, bragging about how dangerous he is and how he's an outlaw feared and far and wide for his incredible fighting skills. And he tries to act all smooth around Bulma, telling her she is a rare beauty who should be with him. You know, classic Yamcha stuff like that. Also, I guess Poor would be there, but he would just be a regular pet cat, because having a floating CGI talking cat might be a little out there for a mainstream Hollywood movie like this. They ask for Yamcha's Dragon Ball and say it is urgent, and he says they'll never find out where he hid it, before Bulma promptly points out directly where he hid it with her dragon radar. But Yamcha grabs it and says that if they want it, they're going to have to fight him for it, and he actually manages to pull off a pretty impressive can of whoop-ass on Goku and Krillin, who start arguing about how they should team up to fight him, as they only have experiences with fighting one-on-one. Eventually, they get their mojo, though, and Goku uses his power pole weapon, missing in the original movie for some reason, and the two eventually overwhelm Yamcha and defeat him, claiming his Dragon Ball. But then Yamcha declares that they are both great warriors and offers to help them in their search for the other Dragon Balls. They, of course, question his motives, but he says that he is only in it for the glory, since his true wish of finding the perfect woman has already come to fruition with Bulma, while Bulma responds, "What a coincidence, I was thinking about wishing for the perfect man when I gathered up all the Dragon Balls together, and I'm still sorely lacking." But ultimately, Goku and Krillin say that they will need Yamcha on their side to fight the threat that is causing so much destruction, and it doesn't matter what they wish for in the end as long as they stop King Piccolo from making his wish. So the four go off together for the next closest Dragon Ball. But as it turns out, while they thought they had been tracking Piccolo by the Dragon Balls he was carrying, Piccolo had actually been tracking them from behind ever since he saw the Ozaru, while the cloaked figure who released Piccolo went up ahead with the 3 Dragon Balls to look for the other balls. So Piccolo decides that he will continue to let the Goku gang, that's what I'm calling them, track down the rest of the Dragon Balls for him, and he births about 12 children out of eggs. Unlike how in the original movie, where he had blood extracted from him to make them, like, why would you make that change? It's so incredibly unnecessary. Ugh. To keep track of them while he reconvenes with his ally. Then the Goku gang make it to Roshi's Island out in the ocean, unlike how in the original movie it was in a city. Like, what was up with these completely unnecessary changes to the source material that don't add anything in this movie? They make no sense, but I digress. They get to Roshi's Island, where he has the Dragon Ball necklace like in the original show, and he of course acts pretty senile and perverted around Bulma, joking about how she is tempting him to give up his celibate lifestyle. Also, the turtle is there, but much like Puar, it doesn't talk. But the Goku gang demand that he give up his Dragon Ball and threaten to take it by force, but he clearly demonstrates that he is no senile old man by kicking the asses of Yamcha, Krillin, and Goku without much effort. He recognizes Goku and Krillin's fighting style and realizes that they were trained by his pupil Gohan, which he confirms by seeing the 4-star Dragon Ball that he gave to Gohan to match his 3-star one. Goku and Krillin are shocked to have found their master's master, and Roshi of course asks how Gohan is doing, only to be crushed by the news of his demise, but more fearful of what they tell him next, about the incredibly powerful being hunting the Dragon Balls, and leaving large-scale destruction in its wake, with Roshi seemingly having an idea of who it might be, but not totally sure. He says that he will need to join them on their mission, as keeping the Dragon Balls away from whoever is hunting them is incredibly important, and that he will pick up Goku and Krillin's training where Gohan left off. So now, with the 3 Dragon Balls in hand, and Piccolo also having 3, they go for the 7th one. However, while Bulma wants to go for it straight away, Master Roshi insists that they go on foot through the entire continent to get it, rather than using her hoverjet. Bulma is of course incredibly annoyed, and says that they will need to get the Dragon Ball as soon as possible, but Roshi points out that according to the Dragon Radar, the other 3 Dragon Balls aren't even close to the last one. So she just needs to keep checking the Dragon Radar to see if they move. And he also says that she should learn to respect her elders. Roshi takes the opportunity on their journey to train Krillin, Goku, and Yamcha to the bone, forcing them to drudge through miles and miles of treacherous terrain, often going back and forth while carrying hundreds of pounds of supplies on themselves. It is brutal work, but after a montage, they are much stronger, with Krillin and Goku showcasing more raw talent and potential than Yamcha, despite his greater experience, and Goku showcasing clearly the most potential of all, and becoming ridiculously powerful. This training sequence would also showcase the Goku gang becoming much closer to each other, and forming a real bond, with Yamcha and Bulma also getting closer during their time together, with her starting to appreciate his corny charm a bit more. However, as a month comes and goes, the full moon starts coming out again, and Goku tells everyone that they had better look away or bad things might happen again. Bulma and Krillin try to reassure Goku that he's just being superstitious, but then Master Roshi pulls both of them aside and asks them to describe what the ruins at Goku's countryside looked like. And it was, of course, very scattered and random looking, with the ruins of Piccolo's blast being very orderly and neat. This, coupled with the fact that Goku was completely unharmed and the Dragon Ball was not taken, leads Roshi to believe that it was Goku who did it. And he tells Krillin and Bulma about how Gohan just found Goku stranded in the woods as a baby one day, and he exhibited many strange behaviors. He tells them both that Goku likely crushed his own grandfather to death by transforming into something at the full moon, and that if he knew, it would destroy him. Then, after Roshi has sufficiently trained their bodies, he goes on to train their minds, trying to teach them how to use ki energy, which he says, with great concentration, some people can use to do things like sense living energy, move objects with their minds, or even fly, which Bulma saw the cloaked figure doing. However, he also mentions that his favorite use of ki energy is blowing stuff up, which he will demonstrate later. But that is what the being hunting the Dragon Balls would likely be using to cause so much destruction. Meanwhile, Piccolo is getting restless as the Goku gang aren't using their Dragon Radar to locate the last Dragon Ball, so he simply has one of his children go out and steal it. When Master Roshi announces that the Dragon Radar has been stolen, Bulma completely freaks out. However, it turns out that this was all part of Master Roshi's plan, as he suspected that they were being watched, as he could sense a lot of negative energy following them, and stalled in getting to the final Dragon Ball in order to draw out their stalkers. And also that he couldn't risk leading their stalkers to the final location of the Dragon Ball and putting the people there in danger. Roshi says that they need to follow the Dragon Radar thief immediately, so they do, and catch up to all 12 of Piccolo's children. After which the first big fight of the movie begins, with Master Roshi, Yamcha, Krillin, and Goku facing off against them. It's a hard-fought victory, and even defeating just one of Piccolo's children is incredibly difficult for them. But Master Roshi proves his extraordinary skill and manages to come in with the clutch and finish most of them off. After this, King Piccolo starts freaking out, grieving for the death of his children, and saying that his race will not be driven to the brink of extinction again. He also says that he saw what his spawn saw at the moment of death, and knows that Roshi is with the Goku gang, collecting the Dragon Balls with them. And the hooded figure says that if Roshi is there, then he has a good idea of where they will take the Dragon Balls. After this, Master Roshi rushes everyone to get the last Dragon Ball, now that they are no longer being tailed. So they all get on Bulma's hoverjet and speed over to the kingdom of the Ox King. Roshi calls the Ox King a fat, lazy bastard to his subjects' faces, so they arrest them and bring them before him. But like in the show, the Ox King was another disciple of Roshi, so he is willing to help Roshi out. However, he is incredibly saddened to hear of Gohan's demise. He wasn't even aware that he had a Dragon Ball and had a castle of various treasures upon a mountain that became consumed in eternal flames. So Roshi politely asks if he can simply destroy the mountain and recover the near-indestructible Dragon Ball from it. So then we get the classic scene from the original show of Master Roshi showing off the full power of the Kamehameha for the first time and completely obliterating the enormous mountain. After which the last Dragon Ball is recovered, and like in the original show, Goku tries to recreate it and totals a car to everyone's surprise. Then Master Roshi sits everyone down and tells them what is really going on. He tells them that he is not an ordinary old man and has lived for 300 years by drinking from the elixir of the immortal phoenix, which drastically slowed his aging. Thus, he was a young man back in the days where the Demon Clan reigned, before King Piccolo was finally defeated. However, no warrior of Earth was strong enough to actually kill him, so his master sacrificed himself, creating the Mafaba technique and sealing King Piccolo into a rice cooker, where he was trapped for 300 years at the cost of his life. He couldn't be sure, but he could think of no other explanation for the incredible amounts of power unleashed on the world in the recent months, then the return of King Piccolo and their previous fight with his progeny proved that he was back, which means he somehow escaped his imprisonment. So he tells everyone that now that they have acquired 4 of the 7 Dragon Balls, they need to bring them to where they will be safest, the ancient order of the monks that guarded King Piccolo, which is located at the same location that Tenkaichi Budokai was held. With the strongest fighters in the world gathered there now, it will be extra safe. Before they go, the Ox King tells them that he can't go with them, but when they get there, they had better say hi to his daughter Chi-Chi, who entered the tournament in order to compete against the strongest fighters, and that she might be able to help them. So they go off to the World Martial Arts Tournament, having just finished, and Chi-Chi actually having been declared the winner. While Roshi goes off to do more serious stuff, there is some more lighthearted comedy with the Goku gang. Chi-Chi says that she came to the World Tournament to fight strong men, but she was totally disappointed as no one was able to defeat her in single combat, so she begs for any man to step forth who is capable of beating her. So Goku, being Goku, he steps forth and gets ready to punch her face, while the other characters don't want to resort to hitting the lady. Although Chi-Chi is an amazing fighter, Goku manages to beat her, meaning he beat the World Martial Arts Champion and wasn't even a contestant. And after this, the other characters of course beat up on Goku for beating up a girl, but then Chi-Chi thanks Goku over and over again for defeating her, and says that he has proved himself strong enough to marry her, and now she is bound to him forever. Krillin responds by saying, "That could have been me!" And Goku responds by saying, "What's marriage? Some sort of food?" On the more serious side of things, when Roshi goes in to meet the Order of the Monks, he tells them about the Dragon Balls he collected, and gives them to them for safekeeping. While there, he meets Shen, the Crane Hermit, a character from the original Dragon Ball series who also trained alongside Roshi, and had been living for hundreds of years, and though they are bitter rivals, Shen says that he has been doing everything he can to stop Piccolo as well. Roshi questions the Order how they could have possibly let Piccolo escape, and they tell him that someone within the Order of the Monks would have to have set him free from the inside. Roshi is shocked and says that he has been preparing himself to use the Mafaba technique on Piccolo, if it ever comes to it, but that if they can steal the 3 Dragon Balls that Piccolo has, then they might be able to use the wish to defeat him. However, then the Dragon Balls that Roshi gave to the Order are stolen by someone. Roshi goes to Bulma immediately to get her Dragon Radar out to find them, and Roshi finds that they have been stolen by Shen, his old friend, who it turns out was the mysterious cloaked figure who released Piccolo. In the original series, Shen served as an antagonist, but never does anything as evil as working with Piccolo. But I think him having a connection to Roshi and King Piccolo's past would work well for the movie to use him as a secondary antagonist. Anyway, Crane tries to fly away, but Roshi shoots him down, and then Roshi manages to swipe his 3-star Dragon Ball back from Crane, and the two get into a fight, of course, student against student, with Crane trying to get the 3-star back. Roshi is not alone, of course, as there are hundreds of other incredibly strong fighters that Crane has to deal with, but as it turns out, Crane didn't come alone. One of Piccolo's children is also there, and this time Piccolo put all his effort into creating just one child instead of 12, so it is incredibly powerful. It announces that the reign of humans is over, and the Demon King Piccolo has returned to rule the earth forever. It then starts slaughtering a bunch of the martial artists there, but Krillin, Goku, and Chi-Chi step in and try to stop it, while Yamcha stays back to protect Bulma, who the demon spawn is trying to kill and destroy the Dragon Radar. Meanwhile, Roshi is fighting against Crane, and on both fronts it is a pretty even battle. While Roshi fights Crane for the 3-star ball, he questions why he would want to free the demon that their master helped seal away, and he says that Roshi's ambitions are far too small. He shuts himself up on a tiny island away from the world, living as a monk, but Shen was always unsatisfied and desired greater power and greater influence, to use his power for his own sake rather than for others. He hated their master for the ascetic values he instilled in them, and could think of no better way to piss on his grave than to gain his power by undoing his master's greatest accomplishment. I don't know, at least it's an actual motivation, as opposed to Mai in the original movie, who... did she have any notable character traits other than a hot Asian sidekick? Roshi and Crane demonstrate their incredible skill against each other as the two most powerful humans on Earth. However, with assistance from the Order of the Monks, Crane is defeated and the Dragon Balls are retrieved. Meanwhile, Chi-Chi gets seriously injured fighting against Piccolo's spawn, and so Goku and Krillin are left to defeat it together, but it flies off before they can kill it. It appears as though the day has been saved despite heavy casualties, and after the fight, Roshi talks to Bulma about his plan to steal King Piccolo's Dragon Balls and make a wish on the dragon to destroy King Piccolo. Meanwhile, it cuts to Krillin and Goku, who have given themselves a moment alone from everyone. Krillin talks to Goku about how crazy the last 2 months have been, and how it's amazing that they have become such great warriors to be able to defeat the Demon King's spawn. Krillin also says that he really misses their master Gohan, and asks Goku if he remembered anything after he looked at the full moon. However, their conversation is interrupted by King Piccolo himself showing up out of nowhere. He announces who he is to them and demands the Dragon Ball. However, Goku swears that he will kill him to avenge his grandpa. Krillin says that Goku can't afford to be rash, and they will fight him together, but then Piccolo immediately shoots an energy blast through Krillin's heart, killing him. Goku, unable to fully process the fact that he has lost not only his lifelong father figure, but his only friend for so long, goes into a blind rage against Piccolo, trying to kill him with everything he has, but to no avail, as he can't land a single good hit against Piccolo, and he beats Goku into bloody pulp. Piccolo tells Goku that he may have killed his friend, but Goku was the one who killed his grandpa, and he should be fighting with him rather than fighting against him on the side of the weak Earthlings. However, Goku says that he will kill King Piccolo no matter what, so King Piccolo simply shoots an energy blast through Goku's heart as well. Roshi then arrives on the scene, and left with the lack of options, he gives in to Piccolo's demands, and gives him the 4 Dragon Balls, and lets Crane go, after which the two fly off. Everyone is of course shocked and horrified that Krillin and Goku have been killed, but as they go to examine Goku's body, it turns out that he had survived, and he had been keeping the 4-star in his breast pocket, which kept him from dying, as the 4-star ball that Roshi had given to the Order of the Monks was a replica, because Goku kept his grandfather's gift on him at all times. Goku is brought back to the Order of the Monks, and he is healed with a sensu bean, as are Roshi and Chi-Chi, but Krillin is still dead. Goku is traumatized after what happened, and vows to kill King Piccolo immediately, and tells Bulma to use the Dragon Radar to bring him to his location. However, everyone tells Goku that he needs to calm down and think. There is no way that he can defeat King Piccolo as he is, and they need to calm down and bide their time while King Piccolo still hasn't figured out that one of the Dragon Balls is fake. Roshi tells the Order of the Monks that aside from the Mafuba, Goku may be the best chance they have, as he has the most potential of any student he has ever trained, and there is special power inside of him. So the monks bring Goku in to train him further to control his ki and teach him concentration, and how to have peace within himself. Meanwhile, Roshi prepares to use the Mafuba, and Bulma uses some spare parts laying around, along with the capsules she brought, to create some new contraptions, weapons, and vehicles to help them in their fight. She also makes a drone that she plans to use to retrieve Piccolo's Dragon Balls if he ever leaves them alone again. Of course, it cuts to Piccolo retrieving his other 3 Dragon Balls and trying to make a wish on Shenron, but he is not able to and crushes the 4-star, realizing it's a fake. And rather than going back to retrieve the 4-star immediately, he remembers that his Ki Blast didn't fully pierce Goku's chest and decides to wait a few days until the moon comes out. Meanwhile, the monks probe deep into Goku's mind, and he sees himself as the Ozaru, crushing his grandpa, but he rejects it as a lie. The monks tell Goku that a dark power lies within him, and if he does not learn to acknowledge it and control it, he will cause unbelievable destruction. Goku trains more with how to use Ki, and tries performing the Kamehameha again, getting more destructive blasts with it. Then they lead him to the pool of divine water and tell him that according to legend, only those who have a special power inside them and are pure of heart can drink it, and it will give them unbelievable strength, but all those who have tried drinking it have perished. But Goku is determined to kill King Piccolo and wants all the strength he can get, so he tries it, and it makes him writhe in unbelievable agony, nearly killing him, but he does survive, but does not feel much different. Meanwhile, outside, Bulma and Yamcha are talking, and she thanks him for protecting him back before, and they share their first kiss. However, it is interrupted by Bulma noticing that the dragon radar is going off like crazy, showing the other 6 balls coming towards them at lightning speed, and she realizes that they won't be able to use her drone to swipe Piccolo's balls because he is taking them. Bulma then goes to warn Roshi, and he is about to go get Goku, but notices that the full moon has appeared, and says that no matter what, Goku can't fight King Piccolo and must remain in the temple. So Piccolo shows up and immediately fires off a Ki Blast at Yamcha, Krillin, and Chi-Chi, but Roshi blocks it with his own. Piccolo says that he knows who Roshi is, and taunts him about how his master's efforts were in vain. Then he eats the 6 Dragon Balls he has to prevent them from being stolen. Roshi tells everyone to stand back, and he will handle this alone, but Piccolo starts fighting him and beats him to a pulp. But then Roshi pulls out the rice cooker and uses the Mafuba, sacrificing his life to seal Piccolo in it, and the Dragon Balls fall out of him onto the ground. However, then Crane shows up out of nowhere and shatters the rice cooker, releasing King Piccolo, who grabs and consumes the Dragon Balls again, making Roshi's sacrifice in vain. Just clinging to life, Roshi says that Piccolo will be defeated, while everyone else just stands back, unable to do anything, and so Piccolo takes Roshi and puts him out of his misery before the effects of the Mafuba kill him. Then Piccolo rises into the sky and uses a Ki Blast to obliterate the monk's temple to obtain the Dragon Ball, as everyone shelters inside it, but all the monks form a Ki barrier to shield themselves, and Piccolo coughs up some more blood as him using so much power continues to shorten his lifespan. However, Goku realizes that Piccolo has arrived and goes out to fight him, despite all of his friends and fiancé begging him to stay in the temple. However, they still keep the 4-star Dragon Ball with him, and he goes out and sees Master Roshi's corpse. Goku and Piccolo then fight, which is of course exactly what Piccolo wanted, and Goku is still clearly outmatched, but he does manage to get in a few good hits. Piccolo remarks on how he is much stronger than before, and that is because of his superior race. He once again tells Goku that he was the one who killed Gohan, but that he wasn't really his grandpa, and that he is a member of an alien race driven to the brink of extinction just like he was, and that he should be trying to conquer the weak Earthlings rather than trying to save them. Goku still says that it is a lie, but after Piccolo beats him to the ground again, he holds him up and pries his eyes open, forcing him to look at the full moon, and Goku transforms into the Ozaru. So he starts smashing the Ki barrier, trying to destroy the monk's temple, with Piccolo watching with glee as he does so. Goku's ape form is just as powerful as Piccolo is, though he doesn't get tired, and Piccolo is safely hovering out of range in the sky. The military from the continent arrive to try to take him down, but he destroys them all, and he eventually breaks into the monk's temple, killing a lot of people. But Chi-Chi, Yamcha, and Bulma escape on her hoverjet, and when Goku goes to destroy them, they try to remind him who he is, while also trying to not die from his attacks. Eventually, the Ozaru pauses and seems like it might recognize them, and then we cut to Goku's inner psyche inside of it, where he is struggling to regain consciousness. He wants to save his friends and defeat Piccolo, but is struggling to figure out who he is after finding out the revelation that he was the one who killed his grandpa. But then he remembers his grandpa's words to him about how other people might find him strange, but there's nothing wrong with the way he is, and how he is a good person who would grow up to do great things, and when he would tell Goku how much he loved him as a grandson. And then he flashes back to the monk's words about how he must accept what he is and control the power that is inside him, and how the divine water could only work on someone pure of heart. So Goku manages to gain control of himself and reverts from his Ozaru form back into a naked dude, though with glowing green eyes and spikier hair. He says that he is incredibly sorry that he started attacking his friends, but will do what he can to make up for all the people that he killed by killing King Piccolo. But Bulma apologizes to him, saying that she is the reason his grandpa is dead, because she told him to look at the moon. But Goku says she can't blame herself and needs to focus on keeping the 4-star ball safe. She says that she will, and also gives Goku a new gi since he's completely naked, which Chi-Chi is clearly very hot and bothered by. And also she gives Goku back his power pole to use. Anyway, Piccolo, quite disappointed, comes down to the ground to fight Goku and take the Dragon Balls. However, Goku is much faster and stronger and throws him backwards with a punch to the gut. The full moon is still powering him, only now he is in his normal body and in control, and he is able to match Piccolo. Goku promises to rip the 6 Dragon Balls Piccolo ate out of his body and use them to bring back everyone he killed. Meanwhile, Shen tries to retrieve the 4-star ball, while Yamcha, Chi-Chi, and Bulma try to keep it out of his hands. And with Bulma's newly created weapons, they are able to stand a chance against Crane, who is injured from his fight with Master Roshi. Meanwhile, back with Goku vs. Piccolo, it's just a classic brutal Dragon Ball fight, with them beating the shit out of each other, coughing up blood, knocking each other through solid rock, and Goku is stronger and faster, with Piccolo dying of old age, while Piccolo has an edge because of his much greater knowledge of Ki, being able to fly and use Ki blasts, and levitate objects. Piccolo managed to break one of Goku's legs, so he has to fight using the power pole to maneuver, like in the original series. Meanwhile, after a hard fight, Crane is defeated and is killed by Yamcha using his Wolf Fang Fist technique, meaning the 4-star is safe. Piccolo resorts to using a nuke Ki blast to try to kill Goku, but he uses a powered-up Kamehameha to push it back in a beam struggle. And then, with Piccolo becoming weaker and weaker, he decides, fuck this shit, I'm out. So he tries to fly away, but like in the original series, Goku uses a Ki blast to propel himself upwards, and do an Ozaru punch straight through his chest, killing him and releasing the Dragon Balls. He is finally victorious, and the day is saved, and then it becomes daytime, meaning the full moon goes away, and Goku loses his temporary power boost. Then, of course, with all 7 balls gathered together, they summon the Eternal Dragon Shenron, and ask him to revive everyone whose death King Piccolo was responsible for. This, of course, means that Krillin and Master Roshi are back, with Master Roshi being killed by King Piccolo before the effects of the Mafaba killed him, which Goku is ecstatic about, and because of the wording of the wish, the martial artist that Piccolo spawned killed, and even the people that Goku killed after Piccolo forced him to turn into the Ozaru come back to life. But since Gohan's death had nothing to do with Piccolo, he unfortunately stays dead. Also, all the Dragon Balls scatter all over the world, and they don't turn up on Bulma's Dragon Radar anymore. Then we of course get some epilogue scenes with the Goku gang reflecting on what has just happened, and planning on what to do next. Bulma talks to Yamcha about becoming an item. Master Roshi says that he isn't anywhere done training the boys. Krillin vows that he will become stronger than Goku. Goku says that it's pretty weird that he is an alien, but he loves the Earth and thinks of himself as an honorary Earthling. And Chi-Chi says that she's incredibly excited for their wedding, even though he still doesn't really know what she is talking about. The monks and the martial artists thank them for defeating Piccolo and bringing them back to life, and suggest to them that they should attend the next Tenkaichi Budokai in 3 years, especially considering Goku was strong enough to beat the winner of this one. So our protagonists say that they are hyped to attend the next tournament, and then the credits roll. But then there is an end credits scene. You know that powerful spawn of Piccolo who attacked the tournament arena earlier in the movie and was defeated by Krillin and Goku, but wasn't actually killed and flew off? It turns out that Piccolo was keeping him away from the action in case he ended up dying, and in the end credits scene he swears revenge against Goku, promising to kill him. This would set up the sequel to the movie, which would of course adapt the Piccolo Jr. arc from the show, with the younger, stronger Piccolo fighting against our heroes. But much like the first movie, it would also implement aspects of other Dragon Ball arcs into it. It would take place 3 years after the first movie, with the characters gearing up for the tournament, which this movie would be largely based around, with Tien and Chaozu also being introduced in that movie, with them swearing revenge not for the death of mercenary Tao, but instead the death of their master Crane, which means Tien breaking Yamcha's leg would be quite a bit more personal, as he was the one who killed Crane. So the movie would be mixing the second and third tournament arcs of the original series together, with Ma Jr. also going to compete, and possibly allying with Tien and Chaozu even. But the movie would have Tien and Chaozu being redeemed, of course, and end with Goku's climactic battle against Piccolo Jr., where Goku would claim victory and become the world champion, but would spare him and let him go, setting up Piccolo's future redemption arc in the next movie. And I guess some other stuff that would be in the movie would be the development of Goku and Chi-Chi's relationship, Bulma reconciling with her parents, and Goku wanting to find the Dragon Balls again after they revert from stone to bring his grandpa back. And I guess Kami would be worked into the story in some way, who would teach Goku how to fly. Then the third and final movie of my rewritten version of the live-action Dragon Ball franchise would have Earth being invaded by the Saiyans, and I would be mixing the Saiyan saga and the Frieza saga together, which would be done by having the Saiyans invade Earth under Frieza's orders to obtain the Dragon Balls, but ultimately join together with Goku and the Earthlings to rebel against Frieza and try to destroy him. And the Super Saiyan transformation would finally make its live-action debut, as Goku defeats the almighty Frieza before he blows up the planet Earth, meaning that we wouldn't actually be going to Planet Namek, unlike in the original series. Piccolo would be redeemed, Vegeta would die a tragic death at the hands of Frieza and not be brought back to life, since there wouldn't be any more movies after this to give him a redemption arc, meaning Goku would be the last remaining Saiyan outside of his son Gohan, who would also be in the movie too, I guess. I think the defeat of Frieza would be a good place to end the trilogy, as you can't really do the Cell Saga since the Red Ribbon Army isn't a plot point in the movies. And the Majin Buu saga might be a little weird for a Hollywood movie. And that's pretty much it. That is how I would rewrite Dragon Ball Evolution and set up for 2 sequels. The original Dragon Ball Evolution movie was really weird. There were times where it made specific callbacks to the original Dragon Ball, but it also had so many unnecessary and ridiculous changes from the original. Like calling ki airbending, like what was that? Of course, with a movie that tries to adapt 2 separate arcs of a long-running television series together, you're going to have to make some changes, and I added changes to the original story in my rewrite, like having Gohan also be Krillin's master, and Yamcha having one of the Dragon Balls, and my original power-up that Goku gets during the full moon when he gets control of himself, which he gained from drinking the divine water, which was of course based off of the Super Saiyan 4 transformation in GT, which was probably the coolest idea in that series. But my adaptation was definitely a lot more faithful and kept much closer to the spirit of what the original show was going for. I also added some stuff in my rewrite that could actually be seen as improvements to the original series, like actually having Chi-Chi fight with the rest of the Goku gang, since she was supposed to be a really skilled martial artist, but never actually participated in any fights except for against her husband, and also having Bulma creating weapons that would be helpful in the fights as well. I also took some of the weirder aspects of the original series, like all the animal hybrids seen in the show, and the talking pigs, turtles, and cats, to make it more accessible to general audiences. Now, I realize that this would end up being a pretty long movie. In fact, just rounding it out in my head, what I wrote would probably take up around 3 hours and 20 minutes with credits. But you know what? This is an adaptation of Dragon Ball. It deserves to be long. You can't squish 2 story arcs into an hour and a half. This movie would have ended up being something really pleasing to Dragon Ball fans in the West, but all it did was completely shit on the original series' legacy by making every wrong decision imaginable. This video has been me explaining how the movie makers could have made good decisions to create a good product. Anyway, this has been the Aromantic Shipper. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and always remember, just because you can't feel love doesn't mean you shouldn't want other people to. Bye.